I was doing analysis videos for our members, and one of the swimmers he's just joined, we're working on not over rotating through the shoulders and through the hips, because in both directions he's going too far. Legs are splaying out and it's impacting his catch as well. And so one of the things I suggested was probably going to have to start looking at just better thoracic mobility, like the side to side thoracic movement. And obviously it's something that you do a lot in yoga. And one of the tests that we used to do at clinics when we were doing this sort of testing was we'd get them to sit on the edge of a chair, have their knees, have their feet together, their legs together, and then we'd get them to have their hands out in front, put the palms together and get them to rotate as far as they could without letting the arms bend, without letting the knees come apart. And most people couldn't get past about 45 degrees, if 90 degrees is all the way to the side. But when they're looking at elite swimmers, they want them to be able to get to that 90-degree range. Otherwise, they'll look at some corrective exercises to help it. But yeah, it was amazing how tight people are side to side. And so if you are tight there, it's going to cause your hips to rotate too far along with that shoulder rotation. And that's going to cause the legs to splay and a whole bunch of other things. So what sort of things can people do to help that? And what sort of time period are people looking at to be able to see even a minor improvement in it?
I think first off, when you look at, I'm just going to address the time period aspect first. I think when you look at that, just bringing the awareness to what's going on in that area can create a very immediate improvement, right? Because I don't think very many people, like if you have people simply just sit there and try that movement, just an awareness of how to move through that area, how to do that movement sitting in a chair. I'm sure that when you did that once with someone and then got them to do it a second time, you'd probably already see it just from them recognizing the pattern that they'd have to go through. So by doing the body awareness aspect of it, or the body awareness aspect of the movement around the thoracic spine, I think you can see some very immediate change on that. Stabilization of the hips, I think, is something that's really important, because when people start working on thoracic spine stuff, so there's two movements that I like to, there's three big ones when you're looking at that rotation through the thoracic spine that I like to use. One is lying down, and that's a little bit more where you can keep the hips a little bit more, can be stabilized easier and have better body awareness around that. But the other two, one's in a lunging position where you then keep one hand on the ground and then you're rotating through with the other arm. So I've got my right leg forward, I've got my left leg back, I'll have my left hand down, and then I'll open up with my right arm. Hopefully that all made sense. But the first thing there is teaching people how to stabilize through their hips, because one of the first things you see is people will go to do that thoracic twist and they'll allow their hips to just go with it because they feel like, oh, I'm getting more mobility, but actually all you're doing is you're letting your pelvis move. So this is where that body awareness aspect comes in. So learning how to stabilize the pelvis and then actually moving through the thoracic spine itself, which is something you talked about with doing that chair test. And I think that's one of the things that's most important when people are thinking about doing poses, doing movements, whatever it is to increase thoracic spine mobility, is you've got to understand, or you've got to make sure that you are actually moving through your thoracic spine and you're not just letting your pelvis shift side to side to actually feel like you're moving through your thoracic spine.